What happens when your inner voice, the one that always pushed you to keep going, suddenly turns against you? When the whispers of "don't quit" fade, and all you're left with is silent Imogene standing at a crossroads on one side, the temptation to give up, on the other, the pain that promises to transform you. Which path will you choose? Here's the truth. Hardship isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning. How will you respond when adversity knocks at your door? Life isn't always kind. There are moments when your inner voice, the one that used to whisper, "keep going, you're almost there," starts to fade away. It's replaced by another voice, one that tells you to stop, to stay silent, and to give up. But what happens when that voice turns on you? What remains of your spirit when even your own mind seems to abandon you? Let me tell you something. Hardship, it isn't a sign to quit. It's the doorway to your growth. That's right. This moment, this very challenge you're facing, isn't where you fall. It's where you're tested. Because here's the secret. No one ever rose without first being broken. No empire ever stood tall without weathering storms. And no mind was ever forged into steel without being subjected to the fiercest fires. You might say, it's hard. It's unbearable. Good. That means you're on the right path. Pain is not punishment. It's preparation. This is the core belief of Stoicism. The Stoics don't run from adversity. They don't shy away from pain. They face it head-on, not because they're fearless, but because they understand one simple truth. It's only through adversity that we truly grow. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm not here to tell you it'll all be okay. What I'm here to do is wake up the strength that's been buried deep inside of you, beneath all the weakness, doubt, and fear. In this video, we'll explore 6 key Stoic principles, brought to life through the stories of real people from history who faced the impossible, rose through it, and came out the other side stronger than ever. Now, when things get tough, that's exactly when you need to hear this. Difficulty isn't your enemy, it's your opportunity. Don't be mistaken. The pain you're feeling right now, it's not here to destroy you. It's here to forge you. Every moment that feels unbearable, when the thought of giving up crosses your mind, that's exactly when you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads to defeat, the other a chance to rise stronger than ever. The world doesn't owe you anything. Adversity doesn't come with a personal vendetta. It doesn't come from hate or love. It comes like the rain, like the wind, unpredictable and indifferent. But how you respond to it, that's what defines you. A Stoic doesn't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What can I learn from this?" In Stoicism, hardship isn't a curse, it's a test. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just a wise quote. It's a compass for life. Pain, if you dare to face it, becomes your most powerful tool for growth. Failure, if you dare to learn from it, becomes life's greatest teacher. And adversity, if you walk through it, it's the fire that forges you from ordinary to unbreakable. Picture this: a bar of iron, cold and lifeless, lying in the dark. It's useless. But throw it into the forge, heat it until it glows, hammer it, bend it, and reshape it only then does it become a sword. The same is true for you. No pain, no warrior, no challenge, no strength. Take Andrew Carnegie, for example, one of the greatest icons of the American dream. Carnegie wasn't born into comfort or privilege. He was born in 1835 in Scotland, and when he immigrated to the US at the age of 13 with his family, he had nothing but hope and empty hands to support his family. The young Carnegie worked as a bobbin boy in a textile mill, earning just a few cents a week. He worked 12-hour days, in harsh, grueling conditions, with no formal education, no mentorship, no shortcuts. But there was one thing he had, a will that refused to stay small. And that will is what shaped him into one of the wealthiest and most influential men of his time. As we look at these examples, we begin to understand the challenges we face are not obstacles to our success, but the very things that shape us into something stronger, something better. But how do we deal with these hardships in the moment? How do we transform pain into power, failure into wisdom? Well, that's what we'll dive into next. Let's continue our journey into the Stoic principles that will help you rise, no matter how hard life gets. What happens when pressure becomes the gatekeeper? We've already seen how Andrew Carnegie forged his path through adversity. But what if I told you that pressure isn't just a challenge, it's the very thing that separates the weak from the unshakable? Let's explore why pressure is not the enemy. It's the ultimate test that distinguishes those who rise from those who fall. Are you ready to face it? Andrew Carnegie didn't just overcome hardships. He built himself through them. From working long hours in a textile mill as a young boy, to eventually becoming the Steel King and one of the richest men in the world. Carnegie never waited for opportunities. He created them. He didn't wait for doors to open. He built them himself. Even after his rise to success, he stuck to one philosophy: action speaks louder than words. His early struggles didn't break him. In fact, they did the opposite. They made him unshakable. So, when you're tired, when you feel like you're swimming in fire, remember this: you are not a victim. You're the raw material being forged in the furnace of life. Every drop of sweat, every misstep, every time you felt like quitting, but didn't, it's all part of your journey toward real strength. You'll hear that voice in your head: I can't do this anymore. But here's the truth. That's not you. That's fear talking. Let another voice rise above it. I'm still going. I'm getting stronger. And keep repeating it, day in and day out. Because, in the end, life isn't measured by how easy it is. It's measured by how you stand when everything seems to be falling apart. The most unforgettable people in history weren't lucky. They were knocked down again and again, and they kept getting up. They kept going. You weren't born to have an easy life. You were born to be resilient. So when the storm comes, don't run. Don't ask when it will end. Ask yourself, who will I become after this storm? And then keep moving. Not for anyone else. Not to prove anything, but because you know that every step through the pain is a step toward becoming the strongest version of yourself. Hardship isn't here to break you. It's here to build you. It's the ultimate test, asking you, do you really want what you're chasing? Or do you only want it when it's easy if adversity is the chance to grow? Then pressure is the gatekeeper, the one who blocks your path, challenges you, and asks, are you a quitter or a builder? Pressure isn't a sign that you've lost your way. It's not a red alert telling you to stop, retreat, or give up. On the contrary, in the spirit of Stoicism, pressure is a gate of testing, a place that draws a line between those who quit and those who persist. It's not here to break you. It's here to ask you one simple question. Are you worthy when things get tough? Our instinct is often to avoid it. We've been conditioned to believe that feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or pressured is a sign of failure. But Stoicism doesn't see it that way. Stoicism looks at pressure the way one looks at fire. Fire doesn't destroy iron. It purifies it, strengthens it, and molds it into something powerful. Pressure is not the enemy. It's the crucible. It's the forge where the raw material is transformed into something unbreakable. When you face pressure with the right mindset, you'll see it not as a burden, but as the very thing that shapes you into your best self. But how can we face pressure without letting it crush us? How can we turn it into our greatest ally? That's exactly what we'll dive into next. In the upcoming part, we'll explore how pressure serves as the final test that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Are you ready to embrace it and emerge stronger? Pressure isn't the enemy. It's the forge where strength is born. In the last section, we explored how pressure isn't something to fear, but something to embrace. It's the test that separates those who persevere from those who break. Now, let's dive deeper into why pressure doesn't just challenge us, it shapes us. Ready to discover how to turn pressure into a tool of empowerment? Pressure is not just a challenge, it's an opportunity. It's not here to crush you, it's here to forge you into something stronger. As the philosopher Epictetus wisely said, difficulties are things that show a person who they are. What blocks action becomes the very thing that produces action. In other words, the obstacle is never the enemy. It's part of the path, part of the journey that molds you into who you're meant to be. This isn't abstract advice. It's a principle that can save you when everything seems to be crumbling around you. Picture this: pressure hitting you from all directions, work, money, relationships, reputation, all at once. In those moments, you have two choices. You can either see pressure as a roadblock, something that holds you back, or you can use it as a stepping stone, something that propels you forward. So, how do you turn pressure into leverage rather than a burden? The secret lies in where you place your control. Stoicism teaches us that while emotions like fear, panic, and confusion are natural, our actions must remain grounded and clear-headed. You can't control everything that happens in the world around you, but you can control how you respond. And that's when pressure becomes power. When you realize that, stepped up boldly, he acted decisively, closing high-risk but strategic deals. When internal conflicts arose, Schwab didn't shrink away. He confronted them head-on, showing his true leadership. For Schwab, pressure wasn't a reason to retreat. It was an opportunity to demonstrate his grit. This mindset earned him the trust of Andrew Carnegie, who gave him full control of operations. Eventually, Schwab orchestrated the historic merger that created U.S. Steel which, at the time, was worth over $1.4 billion, equivalent to tens of billions of dollars today. Schwab didn't avoid the fire. He walked straight into it, and in doing so, he used it to forge an empire. This truth is exactly what the Stoics revealed thousands of years ago. The strong are not those who escape pressure. The true strength lies in those who walk right into it and emerge unscathed. The greater the pressure, the greater the value that's extracted. Just like metal in a furnace, people must be tested by fire to truly take shape. Comfort does not build depth, only friction, collision, and, at times, pain can build real inner strength. Now, think back to the moments in your life when you grew the most. Were those moments during peaceful times, or were they the ones that came after a storm? You don't learn anything during calm days. You learn when everything falls apart, when plans fail, when people you trust leave, when you're forced to stand up on your own. That's when you see what you're really made of. If you're standing in the middle of pressure right now, don't panic. This is your moment. This is where your true strength is forged. As we move on to the next section, we'll explore how you can shift your mindset to see pressure not as something that holds you back, but as the very thing that pushes you forward. Ready to learn how to make pressure your greatest ally? Let's dive in. Pressure is not a burden. It's a gateway to your strength. We've seen how pressure shapes us and tests our limits. Now, let's explore how you can embrace it, face it head-on, and use it as fuel for the next chapter of your growth. Ready to learn how to walk through the fire without hesitation? Don't rush away from pressure. Instead, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what is this pressure trying to teach me? Is it stripping away your weaknesses? Is it sharpening your edge? Maybe this isn't punishment at all, but a rite of passage. The next time you feel the weight of pressure on your shoulders, remember this. It's not a gate that opens for quitters. It opens only for those who endure, who keep moving forward. So, don't look for a way around it. Walk straight through it. Yes, the pain is real, but so is the strength that's waiting for you on the other side. The fire doesn't care who you are, it burns, and it reforges. If you're brave enough to stay in it, you won't walk out the same person. You'll be transformed. Act now. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. When things get tough, don't retreat. Don't wait for the stars to align. Do the work. This isn't just a reminder. It's a command. A command from reason to that hesitant, fearful part of you that always wonders, am I ready yet? The lie that fear whispers in your ear is seductive. Now's not the time. You're not ready yet. Just a little longer. But that little longer stretches into forever. And while you wait, opportunities slip away. The fire inside you starts to fade, and dreams vanish before they can even take shape. So ask yourself, how long are you willing to wait before you demand more for yourself? This is not a question meant to be answered lightly. It's meant to push you. It strikes directly at the heart of procrastination, which often masquerades as careful planning or preparation. You don't need everything to be ready. You just need to be willing to move, because the act of moving is what creates the path. Stoicism teaches that waiting for ideal conditions is a fool's game. Action is the ideal condition. Stoics don't wait for the right timing. They choose a response. They know that reason dies in the mind if it never meets the world. Reason must become real, and that can only happen through action. The more you wait, the weaker you become. The more you overthink, the more you stall, the more you plan, the deeper you fall into the illusion that you control time. And when you let time slip away, you become a prisoner of someday. But let me tell you, someday is not a date on any calendar. Someday is the deathbed of dreams. Henry Ford didn't wait for the world to catch up with his vision. When he set out to create the first moving assembly line, people laughed at him. Cars were luxury items at the time, reserved for the wealthy. The idea of mass-producing cars for the masses seemed absurd, but Ford didn't seek approval. He didn't take polls to decide his next move. He didn't wait for perfect technology or a mature market. He started building and then adjusted. Ford's first assembly line was slow, full of flaws, and heavily criticized. But it worked. It existed. And every turn, every fix, every hour he invested was a statement to the world. Action rewrites the rules. In the end, Ford's assembly line became the model the entire world followed. He didn't need guarantees. He needed a clear goal, an unshakable decision, and the grit to follow through, despite the doubts. Ford didn't wait for circumstances to align with his vision. He made the world adapt to him. And that's the mindset of a true creator, a mindset you can adopt too. Don't wait for support. Don't wait for full knowledge. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Just start. Even if your hands are shaking, your heart is pounding, and every step feels wobbly. Here's the paradox. Certainty doesn't come before action, it comes after. Stoicism teaches you to anchor yourself to purpose, not to fleeting emotions. Not ready? Good. Do it anyway. Action will drag your emotions with it. Afraid to fail? Good. Fail anyway. Failure is how you become unbeatable. But don't get it twisted. Action doesn't mean recklessness. Stoics are not telling you to leap off a cliff without thinking. They're telling you to stop measuring the wind and start rowing. Stop building castles in your head. Lay the first brick. Sure, that brick might be crooked. It might even break. But it's real. And from there, you learn. You adjust. You move forward. Remember, procrastination is the softest form of quitting. There is no such thing as not doing. There is only not doing right now. And not right now, that's never. So, what are you waiting for? In the next part, we'll dive into how you can take action even in the face of doubt and uncertainty. Ready to see how breaking through the fear of imperfection can lead you to unshakable success. Let's continue. Action is the key to unlocking the moment and your potential. In the face of pressure, you have a choice. Do you wait for the perfect moment? Or do you take action now? No matter the circumstances. The truth is, waiting only weakens your willpower. The moment you choose to act, regardless of the conditions, you send yourself a powerful message. I don't wait for the moment. I make the moment. Imagine you're standing at a threshold. On one side, there's comfort, delay, and excuses. On the other, there's challenge, growth, and real life. Crossing that threshold is up to you. But know this, every time you choose to wait, you're trading the bravest part of yourself for the illusion of temporary safety. Action doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to happen, right now. One small step, one sentence, one decision, one call. Just do something. The readiness you're waiting for doesn't appear before you act, it shows up after you've made the choice to move forward. So don't wait, don't explain, don't ask, do. Even if you're not ready, even if it's not perfect, even if all you have is sheer determination, do it anyway. What's that one thing you've been putting off? That one thing you know you need to do but are waiting for the right time? Go ahead and share it in the comments. Maybe by writing it down. You'll already be taking the first step toward making it happen. No way back. Burn the bridges. Commit to the end. Andrew Carnegie, known as the Steel King, didn't have wealth, status, or connections when he started. He was the son of an unemployed weaver who had immigrated to America from Scotland in complete poverty. At just 13, Carnegie worked 12-hour shifts in a cotton factory to support his family. Yet, he didn't let hardship define him. Instead, he quietly honed his mindset and developed an unrelenting desire to rise above his circumstances. When Carnegie entered the steel industry, it was full of risk, and success was far from guaranteed. But rather than taking a cautious approach, Carnegie didn't diversify his investments. He didn't leave himself any safety nets. He didn't play it safe. Instead, he poured all of his energy, assets, and reputation into building Carnegie Steel, committing fully to making it the largest steel empire in America, without a fallback plan. Success was his only option, and he made it happen. The philosophy Carnegie lived by was simple. If you want to win, eliminate every escape route. Burn every bridge back to comfort. Destroy every possible retreat. Every side door you could slip through when things get tough. This isn't recklessness. This is the strategy of someone who understands human psychology. When you know there's no way to retreat, your mind shifts. You reprogram your actions and beliefs to move in one direction only forward. When Marcus Aurelius faced plague and war, he didn't seek escape. He didn't beg for permission to disappear into exile. Instead, he stayed at the front lines, writing in his journal, reflecting in silence, and running the empire through its darkest moments. He could have backed out, but he didn't. Because Stoicism is more than just philosophy, it's about committed action without compromise. Modern thinking often tells us to balance, to keep options open, to manage risk. But sometimes, that safety net is what weakens us. As long as there's a way out, we don't throw ourselves fully into our work. As long as there's a fallback plan, we never push ourselves to the edge of our creativity. It sounds reasonable, but it kills focus. Excellence doesn't come from people who are scattered. It comes from those who see only one road ahead and refuse to consider anything else. Take a hard look at yourself. How many times have you quit not because you weren't capable, but because you told yourself it's okay to stop? How many times have you clung to safety, a placeholder job, a comfortable relationship, a neutral space, only to never break free from your cocoon? The problem isn't your ability. The problem is that you left the exit sign on. That's why the successful choose to burn the boats. Just like Hernan Cortes did when he landed in the New World and ordered his ships to be set on fire, making sure his men had no way to retreat to Spain. So, what about you? What are you going to do? Are you ready to burn your boats and commit fully to your future? Are you ready to face pressure, not as a threat, but as a call to action? In the next section, we'll explore how you can take this commitment and turn it into unstoppable momentum. Ready? Let's continue. The cost of victory is simple. There is no return ticket. Ruthless, perhaps. But the truth is, victory never favors those who leave themselves an escape route. A Stoic doesn't fear being cornered. In fact, they understand that adversity isn't a punishment, it's a test. It's in those moments when you're forced to fight, when you have no other choice but to push through, that you discover strengths you didn't even know you had. You build your inner strength. You find a way. And even if you fail, you can walk tall, because at least you lived fully. You didn't hold back. You didn't let fear stop you. And most importantly, you didn't leave yourself any way to retreat. When you burn the bridge, when you cut yourself off from any possible escape, you force yourself to become worthy of the goal. You no longer have the safe option, the fallback plan. There's only one path ahead: focus, devotion, and an unwavering commitment to move forward with everything you've got. And in that moment, when you're standing on the edge with nothing left to cling to, you will find out just how powerful you truly are. Burn the bridge. Cut the rope. Kill the backup plan. Commit to the end. There is no way back, and that's exactly why you will win. Control your emotions. Put mission above feeling. We've all had those days. Mornings when you just don't want to get out of bed. Nights when you stare at the ceiling wondering if everything you've been doing is pointless. In those moments, your emotions can rise up like tidal waves, threatening to drown every plan, every goal, every commitment you've made. And it's in those moments when you have to do the hardest thing. Refuse to let your emotions take the wheel. Because here's the truth: emotions are not truth. Emotions are reactions. They are fleeting. The truth lies in your actions, in the reason you began this journey in the first place. In Stoicism, the goal is not to destroy your emotions, but to face them, name them, and then not let them rule you. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Strength doesn't come from everything being fine. Strength comes when you know that you don't need everything to be fine in order to keep going. That quote hits home for a reason. We can't control the circumstances around us, but we can control how we respond to them. And the first thing you must control is your emotions. Emotions are like the wind. They come and go. But if you're the one steering the boat, then whether the wind is with you or against you, you can still reach your destination if you anchor yourself to reason and purpose. People who live by emotion shift with every gust of wind, but those who live by reason, by mission, stand firm even in the storm. The Stoics have a technique called labeling. It's as simple as it sounds. When an emotion arises, you label it. When you feel fear, say this is fear. When anger rises, say this is anger. The truth is, when you name it, you create distance between you and the emotion. And in that space, you can choose to act not based on the emotion, but based on your commitment. Take a look at Thomas Edison, not just an inventor, but a living example of persistence. Edison didn't fail once, or even 100 times. He failed somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 times trying to invent the incandescent light bulb. Imagine that, walking into the lab day after day, testing new materials, new structures, only to fail again and again. Emotions could have screamed, "Stop! This isn't worth it. It's hopeless." But Edison didn't act on emotion. He didn't wait for motivation. He didn't need inspiration to continue. He had something greater, a clear goal and an unshakable reason. When asked about his thousands of failures, Edison simply smiled and said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That quote isn't just about resilience. It's a living example of the Stoic spirit, refusing to be attached to negative emotions, refusing to let failure cloud your reason. Edison wasn't defeated by his emotions because he stayed loyal to his mission. And that's why he succeeded. Your emotions may try to tell you to stop, but your reason for starting will remind you that the work isn't done yet. And that's enough to keep going. There's a paradox in life. When you let emotion lead, you lose both your emotions and your purpose. But when you place your mission above emotion, eventually, the emotion falls into line. You begin to feel pride, peace, and strength, not because they appeared out of nowhere, but because you've lived in a way that deserves them. You must accept a hard truth. There will be times when you don't feel strong, but you still have to act strong. That's how you become strong. No one wakes up a Stoic. Stoicism isn't something you are, it's something you forge every single day. Not by following your emotions, but by choosing action. If you want the results of the extraordinary, you can't live like the ordinary. Ordinary people let their emotions make decisions. Extraordinary people tell their emotions to sit down and take orders. Now, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, are you acting based on emotion or based on your goal? How many times have you left things unfinished because you said, "I've lost motivation"? But here's the thing. Who needs motivation when they have purpose? Who needs hype when they have discipline? Imagine if Edison only worked when he felt like it. Would we have the light bulb today? What about you? Will you keep waiting for motivation to show up? Or will you take control and act, regardless of how you feel? As we move into the next section, let's take a deeper look at how purpose and action come together to form a force that can't be stopped. Ready? Let's dive in. The world might still be in darkness, but your journey doesn't need to wait for the light. You don't have to feel ready to start. You just need to begin. And along the way, you'll discover your readiness. This is the essence of Stoicism. Don't let your emotions control you. Let your actions define you. You are not a passing storm that fades away. You are the path that dares to walk through the storm, toward the destination you're meant to reach. And once you take control of your emotions, you'll be ready to embrace the next powerful principle, the power of repetition. Have you ever wondered why successful people repeat the same actions every day? Why mental warriors like Marcus Aurelius made journaling a daily ritual? It's not by accident. They know a secret: nothing builds resilience like consistent, intentional repetition. So, let's not just listen this time. Let's repeat this principle because it's that powerful. 6. The power of repetition. Belief doesn't come to you in a sudden burst. It's not something that sparks once in your mind and burns brightly forever. No, belief is something you cultivate, day by day, through disciplined repetition. It's not an accident when someone becomes resilient. It's a result of countless days, choosing to believe in something, to repeat that belief over and over. And just like that, the belief you once only spoke about becomes the very thing you live out in your actions. In Stoic philosophy, belief isn't seen as a fleeting emotion. It's the product of training your mind. Those who walk this path understand that the human mind is like a field. What you plant and how you nurture it determines what grows. And perhaps the most crucial seeds are the words we say to ourselves, day in and day out. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's not just advice, it's a formula. You repeat the image of the person you want to become. You plant that vision deeply in your mind, and with conscious words, you tie yourself to that mission. Then you take action. Repetition isn't some mystical ritual. It's a psychological technique. In Stoicism, this process is called self-talk and deliberate visualization. When you say to yourself, "I can endure this," or "I was born to overcome adversity," you're not fooling yourself. You're reprogramming your brain to respond differently to the challenges life throws at you. You're teaching your mind that pain isn't a reason to retreat, it's a signal to grow. But here's the thing. Theory alone isn't enough. You need proof. You need examples of how this works in real life. Look at Abraham Lincoln, a man who faced tremendous loss, failure, and the horrors of war. But through it all, he never wavered. He once said, "I believe I am a man of destiny." That belief didn't come from praise. It didn't come from success. Lincoln repeated that to himself, again and again, day after day, like a silent prayer. He visualized his mission until it became reality. Before he became president, Lincoln experienced a string of failures. He failed in business, lost loved ones, lost elections multiple times, and was mocked for his appearance, his voice, and his humble background. Any ordinary person would have had every reason to give up. But Lincoln didn't surrender. Instead, he repeated a truth to himself, that every setback was just part of a greater mission. A mission to lead a fractured nation toward light. He wrote it, he spoke it, and he lived it every single day. And that repetition, year after year, forged him into a symbol of resilience, humanity, and courage. His steadfast belief, despite overwhelming odds, made him one of the most revered figures in history. Now, let's pause for a moment and reflect on this. What are you repeating to yourself every day? What beliefs are you planting in your mind that will shape your future? If Lincoln had let his failures define him, where would the world be today? As we continue on this journey, remember, your beliefs shape your actions, and your actions shape your destiny. Are you ready to plant the seeds of success today? Let's move forward and see how small, deliberate actions can lead to extraordinary change. The power of repetition isn't just about saying the same things over and over. It's about transforming those words into your core truth. Andrew Carnegie, the legendary steel magnate of the 19th century, understood this concept intimately. His mornings didn't start with emails or meetings, as you might expect from a billionaire businessman. No, Carnegie's mornings began with silence. Every day, he took time to meditate, repeating his life's purpose, his ultimate goal. And this wasn't some vague, aspirational phrase. It was a commitment that he anchored himself to. Something unshakable. I know who I am. I know where I'm going. For Carnegie, those words were his compass. No matter what storms raged in the economy, market crashes, fierce competitors, or political turmoil, he didn't flinch. Why? Because Carnegie didn't rely on the outside world to guide him. His foundation was an inner core of steel, forged through morning repetition, conscious breaths, and a life lived with clear intent, while others were scrambling to find certainty. In their plans, Carnegie found his certainty within himself. His success wasn't a product of a brilliant new idea, it came from never losing his direction, no matter how rough the waters got. And that's the power of repetition. Repeating something true until it becomes part of your very being. You don't need to be a billionaire or a president to practice this. You just need to be serious with yourself. Start with something simple, like, I don't quit just because it's hard. Then say it again. Write it down. Say it out loud. Let each word sink deep into your nervous system like a healing medicine. And when the hard moment comes, not if, but when you won't need to search for strength, it will already be there. Right in your mind. It's like a mantra you've repeated so many times that it becomes second nature. Repetition isn't boring. It's how you turn your values into your identity. Think about a martial artist. They throw the same punch thousands of times, repeating the motion until it becomes automatic. Similarly, you repeat the same promise to yourself until those words aren't just words anymore. They become a reflex. That's when you begin to live like a Stoic warrior, not reacting out of emotion, but responding through the principles that have been etched into your very being. The world outside may keep shifting. There will be days when you feel empty, uncertain, uninspired. But if you have a set of words tied to your mission, if you've created the habit of repeating your purpose each morning, then you won't need to feel ready to act. You'll act because you've already committed to it hundreds of times before. Repetition frees you from the trap of fleeting, short-term emotions. This is exactly what Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, understood deeply. Every morning, he wrote in his journal reminders about death, impermanence, kindness, and self-mastery. Not because he'd forgotten these truths, but because he knew that knowing isn't enough. To remember long enough to act consistently, that's something else entirely. And so it is with you. You don't need more information. What you need is to remember what's already true. Repeat it, believe it, then act on it every single day. When life gets tough, you have two choices: fall down or rise up. Today's message is centered on one simple thing: rise up. Remember these 6 key points. Hardship is opportunity. Pressure is a challenge. Act now. There is no way back. Control your emotions. Practice repeatedly. This is the essence of Stoic thinking. No running, no complaining, just action and rising above yourself. Now it's your turn to put this into practice. This week, choose one small challenge. Whether it's at work, in training, or a difficult conversation, write down how you feel. Then take action. Act, even if you're scared. Act, even if doubt is there. That's what Stoicism is all about. Not just in words, but in every choice you make, every single day. What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? Don't keep it to yourself. Share it in the comments below. Sharing is another way to rise above. If this video gave you strength, hit like, share it, and make sure to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next one. We will stand strong, no matter how fierce the storm gets.